unfortunately, I didn't want to do it. So I thought, I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell my boss. My boss was a priest at that time, the director of the mission office in Philly, and he was not too adventurous, I'm going to say. And so I said, I'll ask my boss. Sure as I'm sitting here that he would say no. And so these kids go, you're not going to ask him. I said, oh, you think I dress like this so I can lie? I said, I'm going to ask him, don't worry. And so they wrote up this whole kind of petition thing. And I think, I don't know, I can't remember how many signed it, a lot of them. And so I took it in and put it on the boss's desk, and he wasn't there. And so the next day he comes in and he says, what's this? And my gentle Italian-Irish self says, did you read it? And he said, yes, but explain. And so I told him I said, listen, you send me out every day to talk about the essence of who we are as church. And when I say that, I don't say it lightly. And I don't say it, I'm not making it up because I'm a missionary. Think about it. When Jesus ascended into heaven, what did he say? The very last thing he said, go out to all the world and tell the good news. He didn't leave us a church. He left us a mission. You know? And that, I have to tell you, probably not this past year, but the year before, I was giving this, mission appeal in one of the churches, in some state, I don't remember even, and the priest said, our church doesn't have a mission. Our mission has a church. All right? And so the church is just part. But the mission is to go out to the ends of the earth and spread the good news. And so we have to do that. All right? So I say to my boss, I say, listen, you send me out to talk about the very best part of who we are as church. And these kids, they want a chance to live it. And he looks at me and he says, good, where are you going to take them? I'm like, oh, I'm not going to take them. And he said, oh, yes, you are. And I don't like anybody being my boss. I'll just tell you that flat out. I am Italian and Irish. I'd rather be the boss. But, I mean, what am I going to say? And so at that point, I started taking kids to Mexico. And it was beautiful because we did all kinds of catechesis with kids. We would go to the different villages and we would do, I'm a teacher by trade. So it was kind of like, up until this year, usually in the summertime, parishes have what's called Vacation Bible School or Summer with Jesus or whatever the 50 things they might call it. But anyway, we would do what I would call Vacation Bible School Blitz, because, of course, the children in Mexico as well as the children in the Dominican Republic speak Spanish, and my missionaries most of the time did not. Okay, so Vacation Bible School usually is an entire week and it has a theme and you go through every day doing all kinds of stuff. But there is no way that we could get through 5 days. We couldn't get through a whole day, because there weren't enough Spanish speakers and I could only translate, for one person at a time. And so anyway, what we would do is we would decide on our theme and we would go to the villages and we would stay for 3.5 hours usually, from 9 o'clock in the morning until 12:30, and then we go to some other place from 2 to 5 or 5:30. All right, so we would do, in the course of and our trips, our mission immersion experiences would last 2 weeks. So, and usually in every place we would go, we're talking about little tiny villages. There'd be 100 kids, and we would meet in the church. And we would start out, we'd ring the church bell, which the church bell often was what do you call gas that you hook up to propane? A propane gas tank, right? Yeah. Okay, so we would have a propane empty, just so you know, a propane gas tank, and we would bang it like mad with some metal thing. That would be the church bell, okay? And the kids knew ahead of time. The priest would inform them that the missionaries were coming. Now, I always crack up at this because I think, oh my gosh, can you imagine? Now, obviously, in Mexico or in the Dominican Republic, we're foreigners. And even though I speak the language, most of them didn't, and most of the missionaries did not. Can you imagine a bunch of foreigners arriving at our parishes here in the United States of America saying, oh, come, send your kids. They're going to be here for 3 hours. They're going to do activities. We'd lock the doors. Okay? But they would send, and the thing is, there's so many children. And the bigger kids take care of the little kids. And so they would arrive. And sometimes the moms would arrive and they'd hand their babies off to us. And they wanted to do the activities too. But it was wonderful because for about the first, 35, 45 minutes, I would have my guitar and I would do Bible history. I would tell the stories of Jesus but starting with creation. And I made up a song about Dios hizo el mundo, todo hizo Dios. Dios hizo todo, gracias buen Dios. Okay, God made the world, God made everything, thank you, God. And then I would have them think of things that, and I'd have this whole interaction with them about, okay, so what are the things that God made? And things that God actually made. Like, did God make the chair? Does he have a factory up in heaven throwing down chairs? And they start laughing. I'm like, no. Okay. I said, so what are the things that God actually made? And I would draw that out of them. And then we would sing, okay, the song, God made everything, all right? And then they'd say, God made horses. And then they'd say, God made dogs. And God made trees. And God made pineapples. And each time we would remember. Now, here's the thing. As a teacher, I'm trying to develop their mental skills and their verbal skills and all that kind of stuff, memory. And so we would do that, and then we'd just go on, and we'd sing about Moses and David, and the kids, they were great. Actually, the Noah's Ark song was one that was in English that I remember them singing when I was a kid. The Lord told Noah to build him an arky. The Lord told Noah to build, right? So we do it in Spanish. Alzad las manos y darle la gloria a Dios. And so it tells the whole story about Noah. And so then we would go through, and I'd come up to Christmas, and we'd sing a Christmas song. And then we'd talk about how Jesus would speak to the people and teach them. And then how he gave his life. And there are songs that go with all of that. And then we'd come, okay, to here we are now today. And we want to remember this Jesus who is our brother, who is the Son of God. And then we would have come up with 4 different arts and crafts activities that were, I always say, loosely Bible-based. Sometimes it was very loose. But we would make like tambourines. Okay, and we do that with paper plates, and we put bells inside and have streamers hanging from them. But we would use then Psalm 150. Praise God. Let the strings and lutes and tambourines praise God, and so everything they made, they would take home. We did the story of Daniel in the lion's den, and there's a song that goes with Daniel was a brave guy, and so we'd make a puppet of a lion, and then they got to take that home. And then we would do a Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark was a favorite, so there was always something with rainbows and clouds and boats and all that kind of stuff. But the kids got to take all of those things home, and so they would have them to remember the Bible stories that we taught. And we did that year after year after year and we would take turns with the villages, so everybody was involved. And then we would do the really Catholic thing after we did the 4 activities. We would play bingo, and they would win prizes, and so it became something that everybody loved. But the most beautiful thing were our kids, our American young people who would see how the church was the center of everything. And I don't know. I am in touch with some of them, but not everybody. I can't possibly do that. But what some of them chose to do with their lives. A couple did become sisters, which is a good thing. Actually, a couple of the guys became priests. At first, I didn't take guys. I only took women. I was not doing the co-ed thing. Gave me a headache. Anyway, but I think actually there are 4 who are priests now, which is really nice. And the sisters, we didn't do so well with sisters. I think there are only 3 who came with me that are sisters. More than that joined, but then they quit. But I ask you just to pray for vocations, to pray for our church right now. One of the girls who went with me last year, on the 20, this is just funny, on the 22nd of this month is entering, I'm not going to say the name right, so I won't say it, but it's a group of Dominican sisters in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And it's funny because the 22nd of August is the feast of the Queenship of Mary, okay? And the word for crown is corona. And so they are calling themselves the Corona Group because of the coronavirus and because they're entering on the feast of the Queenship of Mary. But like, just the things of God and church, they're not always serious, all right? They are life-giving and joyful and joy-filled. And so I guess as I just share with you, all the fun we had with the kids and what we would do with them and make it interesting, I guess I would like to challenge you who are parents and grandparents to tell your kids Bible stories. And when I say tell, I mean tell. Read it 10 times if you have to, but then make it easy to understand, make it fun to listen to. And I'm telling you, on the internet is everything, good and bad. But some of the good stuff there are arts and crafts projects that you could do that go along with the different Bible stories, sorry. And so, like, why not? Like, right now, we're living in, I don't know, sad times. There are people who I don't know about you, but there are lots of people who are in crisis right now. They don't know where to turn. They don't know what to do. If you want your kids to feel safe, you have to tell them about God. Because God is the only one who can get us through. He's the one who has the power. He's the one who has everlasting love. You see behind me, over my shoulder, the crucifix. Think of those words. God so loved the world that he sent his only Son, so that everyone who believes in him might not perish, but have eternal life. What's the best gift you can give your kids? That's what I said to my nephew and his wife. They gave Valerie Ann, I might add. My mother's name is Ann. They gave Valerie Ann the best gift they could possibly give. God's life. And so I would imagine that most of you have had your children baptized. But are you raising them? Are you keeping the... Okay, do you hear that siren? I have to stop. Let's just say a prayer. We are right across the street from a hospital, and so we don't know what the danger is, but there's some danger right now. And we ask you, Lord, to take care of whoever might be in harm's way, including the first responders. And we ask this in Jesus' name, amen. Just a funny story with that. So when I was a little kid at St. Jerome's School in Tamaqua, Pennsylvania, The nuns always had us, if you heard a siren, you stopped and you said a prayer. Okay, so I have done it all my life. So when I became a teacher, when I heard a siren, I would stop and I would do it with my kids. So one year I'm teaching second grade in St. William's School in Philadelphia. And on Monday morning, my kids come rushing into the classroom and they say, "Sister, Bernardino Castillo stopped the whole championship baseball game." I said, "What?" They said, "Yeah, he was up to bat and he heard a siren and he put the bat down and he said a prayer and then he just picked the bat up and nobody knew what to do." I said, "Well, they should have just prayed." So anyway, but just, life has so many simple little moments that we can use to make a difference. And just on that same thing of saying a prayer when you hear an ambulance, true story from the sister I live with. I live with a sister, her name is Sister Raymond. And when she was teaching in Philadelphia at St. Henry's School, one day a man arrived at the convent and knocked on the door and said, "Is it true?" And she was like, "Is what true?" And he said, do all the children in your school pray when an ambulance goes by?" And she said, "Yes." And then he asked to come in. And here, this man was a firefighter. And one day, as they're being called out on a fire call, his buddy, another fireman, they're passing St. Henry's School, and he says to his buddy, he says, "You know what? Right this minute, every kid in that school is praying for us." And the guy says, "How do you know?" And he says, "Because that's what they do." And here, the guy had gone to St. Henry's School when he was a kid. And so the fact that those children prayed for the fireman touched that fireman so deeply that he took instruction and became a Catholic. We don't have to say a lot. We don't have to be all that convincing by our words. We just have to live the right way. We have to care for one another. We have to reach out for one another. We have to be kind. And we have to start right in our own homes. I know that for some of us, being home under lockdown, under quarantine, has been challenging. And understandably so. But we have to find a way to do the right thing. And we have to be kind. We have to be careful. We have to be careful about the language we use, and this is, I know you're going to think I'm harping on it because I know I say it often, but we have to be careful about the television we watch, the songs we listen to. Our kids are affected by that. We have to be careful about the way we talk to each other. We need to be respectful. We need to be caring. So, I guess as we just talked tonight. Oh, am I done? No. Okay. I think that each one of us needs to, first of all, make sure that we're making time to pray. We have the time. We have the time, like never before. And praying, as you know, there's formal prayer, which you can do with your family, okay? But your private prayer is just talking to God, handing things over to Him, and then listening. Going back to how we started the night with the words from God Himself on Mount Tabor. "This is my beloved Son. Listen to Him." So we need to take the time to listen. I recommend, I highly recommend a way of prayer that is, it's helpful to me, and it's journaling. So, and with scripture, you don't, when people say to me, I have read the Bible from cover to cover 4 times. So I go, so? Because I'm not impressed. Reading the Bible from cover to cover, I mean, it's fine. You can do it. I did it. I did do it. I don't know why. I just did it. But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is hearing God's word. So I usually recommend that people start with the New Testament, because Jesus is the God we know. And Jesus came to reveal God to us. And easy is, of course, and you can do this, you don't even have to have a physical Bible, because now everything is online. There are Bibles online. Just you want to have the Catholic translation, just because it's the one we use. All right? And then if you want to just think about the stories that you like, I always recommend to people, start with something you like. So think about the stories, and if you type in just a few words on the search bar, the whole story will come. It's great. It's really great. So think about what you love, what gives you comfort, what helps you. Today is one of my favorite days, but on just in 9 more days we have the feast of so today starts the novena for the Assumption of the Blessed Mother into heaven, and there's no story in the Bible about that, and people of course always have something to say about the Blessed Mother, and well, why is she so special, and this and that and this and that, and then the fact that she was assumed into heaven. Okay, well, here's the thing. We know that they have all kinds of holy places in the Holy Land. And people go and they say, oh, this is where Jesus was born. This is the place where he was crucified. This is that. This is that. Okay, and this is where Peter is buried in Rome, of course. And St. Thomas is in India, and St. James the Greater is in Spain. Okay, we know where their places were, and we know where John the Baptist baptized in the Jordan. There is no place that says this is where Mary was buried, because she wasn't. She was assumed into heaven. So, just remembering that kind of stuff. When people keep, they go, well, I don't know if it's true. Oh my gosh. Jesus can be trusted. Believe me, he can. Everything he has said is true. And so we need to believe. And so when we hear those beautiful, wonderful stories that he tells us, or that are told by the evangelists about him, about how just the other day we had the story of the Canaanite woman, and she's yelling. Her daughter is really sick. And she is not a Jew. She's not a Jew. And so she's not supposed to be talking to this Jewish rabbi. And Jesus ignores her. And finally, she just keeps yelling anyway. Okay? Remember that saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease? All right? And St. Paul talks about being persistent in prayer. And then even Jesus himself tells the story of, remember that woman who went to the judge, and finally the judge says, I'm just going to settle for her because she's going to wear me out. Okay? Because we keep turning to God. Whining is a legitimate prayer form. You can just keep asking and asking and asking. God will hear. And so anyway, this Canaanite woman, She's yelling. The apostles are like, hey, Jesus, could you do something about her? She just keeps yelling after us. And she's there. He doesn't even address her. He just says, it's not right to give the food of the children to the dogs. I mean, Jewish people were kind of harsh on non-Jews. I just want you to know that. And so Jesus grew up in that ambiance, in that environment. And so as a young Jew, a Canaanite wasn't worthy. And so he says it. Not right to give the food of the children to the dogs. And she is completely just unaffected by this, like, dig that he does to her. And she goes, oh, but even the dogs eat the scraps that the kids leave under the table. And, like, I could just see Jesus smiling, going, oh, man, this girl. And so he says, your faith has done what you asked. And she finds out that her daughter at that very moment was cured. So my brothers and sisters, let's believe. Let's ask the Lord. But that means being faithful in prayer. It means going to Jesus every day, not just when there's a pandemic or not just when you're having a bad day. Have a relationship, because that's what God wants from us. He loves us so much, so very much. And so we need to just turn to him and be with him. So, Bill, do you have anything to say?
I was really just thinking about, the day as the transfiguration, and maybe some of the things that have transfigured our lives. I know several occasions you spoke about instances, especially the one, and I don't recall where you were, where they had no food to feed the children. And that really transformed your life, because you said that will never happen again.
Yeah, that was really hard. That was when I was in Haiti after the earthquake, the terrible earthquake. And it was, I'll never forget, it was Monday of Holy Week. And we were, on Friday, the thing is, at that point, we were not allowed to, we were only allowed to drive every other day. Like, there were all kinds of rules about when you could buy gas and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't like if you didn't have something, you could go get it. And so on Friday, Sister Marcella, that's the sister I work with there, she asked the cook, do we have rice for Monday? Because on the weekends we weren't there. And the cook said yes. And then we arrive on Monday, and the cook, you could tell she had the look of fear. Sister Marcella is a little scary, but so very capable. And so you could see the look of fear on the cook's face, and she came out and she said, "We don't have any rice." Now, I have no idea. I have no idea if there was rice and it was stolen, which is very possible, or if she didn't really check. I have no idea what happened, but there was no rice, which meant there was no food. And so every day we were, and this was from donations. After the earthquake, it was just amazing the amount of people who were so generous to us all. And so usually at 11 o'clock, we would feed the little kids, and then at 12 o'clock we'd feed the bigger ones. And we had 300 kids. And so that day, the kids started saying, grangu. Grangu is hungry. Is me, I'm hungry. And usually you'd say, oh, well, we're going to eat in a little while. But I just didn't answer them that day. And then I guess it was about maybe close to 2:45 or so, Sister Marcella comes and says, we have to go. And so I said to the kids, I have to go. And they said, Kote mangea, where's the food? And I said, Pagi mangea jodia, there is no food today. I sent 300 kids home with empty bellies to empty tables. We have to take care of each other. And like right now, in the Dominican Republic, I've talked about my group of young men who are my support team there. One of them is self-quarantining because he has symptoms. And he didn't get tested because it takes 15 days to get the results of the test. So first of all, they charge an arm and a leg for the test, and then they don't get the results for 15 days. Well, in 15 days, it's better, or whatever. So he's self-quarantining. But he is married and has 3 children. And the fact that he is self-quarantining for 14 days means that there's no work for 14 days, which means there's no income, and we don't have food stamps. We don't have, he has nowhere to turn. And I don't know what to do about it. That's a fact. And then Hurricane Isaias, which, by the way, that is Isaiah, as in Isaiah the prophet, okay? Hurricane Isaias was to the north of the Dominican Republic. But it brought rain. Too much rain. So much that it wrecked Luis Manuel. Luis Manuel is another one of my boys. It wrecked his rice fields. Now, that is his livelihood. And a couple of years ago, one of the missionaries actually supported him in planting a papaya plantation. But this year, and so this is the first year that after he lent him the money, then there was Hurricane Maria, that we didn't get hit with the water, but we got hit with the winds, and the papayas blew off the trees, so we had no papayas. Okay, this year the papayas were beautiful, but because of the coronavirus, no one was buying. We weren't exporting anything, and so he ended up giving them away. And his brother was murdered a couple of years ago. That was a whole other story. And his father, I guess now it's 3 years. His father died unexpectedly of a heart attack. And so Luis Manuel he doesn't only have to take care of his wife and his little boy, but his mom and his sisters and their kids. He's the main breadwinner of that family. And so right now, the rice has been destroyed. And if he can't get a loan somehow to plant the rice again, he's going to have to sell the rice field. But then what about next year? So it's just so please pray for yourselves, but pray for those in need as well. I think we have to come to an end.
I just wanted to mention those things because I know they are things that drive you, and a lot of people would just say it was a tragic event, or they're sorry that it happened, but in your vocation as a missionary, it gives you a little extra oomph, I think, to go out there and really, involve people to make a difference in the world. And so with the Feast of the Transfiguration, it's just kind of
we are changed. Nicely, yes. Absolutely, we are changed. I grew up in Tamaqua, Pennsylvania. It was a big trip to come here to Hazleton, 12 miles away. And now I travel around the world because I have been invited to be the hands and heart of Christ. And that is the invitation to you. And so we end this little sharing, and we pray, glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. God bless you all. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.